Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 158 of Crunch Time. I'm going to be your host for this week's episode. I am Tanner Dislin, and as always, I am joined by Sam Gotzi, and we are the N326 duo. Sam, how are we doing today?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, Tanner. Obviously, it's a little weird not having football as we've had in a couple weeks past, but college basketball is in the thick of it. We got MLB spring training going on, college baseball also having their first couple games, so it's an interesting time to be. We're kind of in that lull period where we're not quite to conference tourneys um for college basketball, but we have baseball picking up, but it is only just spring training. But yeah, dude, I mean, yeah, football's gone, but it's still pretty fun being a sports fan.
We
For sure.
got the combine this week.
Oh, thank God.
So that's huge.
Huge.
For the football fans, at least something to dig your head into and look at which I guess now, yeah, the all the good athletes don't participate anymore because all they can do is hurt from their performance, not really that much room to rise. But anyway, at least there's that going on for sure. Spring training, as you said, the first games were this past weekend. Juan Soto, first at bat as a Met, went yard. Pretty freaking awesome stuff. I know a lot of you thought that might be my winner for today's episode, but it is not. And yeah, all this and more on episode 158. But I mentioned it, Sam. We always start. So give me your winner.
Yeah, my winner is actually a loser of a while back. I mentioned this team as a loser, and they just became a winner for the first time in 55 straight games. Yes, I'm talking about Maryland Eastern Shores baseball team. This past weekend got their first win since 2023 as they beat Towson, snapping the longest losing streak in the country.
Give it up for
Give
them.
it up.
Give it up. Absolute legendary performance. What do you have the score? I don't know if they.
I don't.
Watch be like a 15-0
Yeah.
or something. They just beat the brakes off them.
Let me pull it
They
up.
said they beat Towson.
Towson.
Tough day to be a Towson Tiger.
Yeah, honestly.
That's tough.
That's brutal. Like, how do you recover from that?
You really can't. Well, I'm very curious to see this score. I mean, I don't know what's better. I feel like it might be better to just get blown out.
Yeah.
You just never have a chance.
Let's see. But yeah, man, this crazy that you're that bad for so long, and somehow, some way, you get their first win.
You said 55 games, so
50, they did not win a single game last year.
I was going to say that's at least, especially because they probably played a handful this year. That's a full season last year, and then dipping into the year before. So
they won 14-7 against Towson.
They're playing football. That's a football score right there.
So that was, they played a doubleheader on Saturday. Towson won 10-0 in the first one. Then they won 14-7, and then they went back to losing 9-13, but still snapped that awful losing streak. So gosh, shout them out.
All it takes is one, Sam.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh man, shout out. I didn't remember that.
Maryland Eastern Shore, bro.
Maryland Eastern Shore.
Put it on the map.
Yeah, I gotta know their mascot. Do you happen to know?
I think it's like the Hawks.
Oh, something lame.
Yep, Maryland Eastern Shore
That's
Hawks.
Lame. Boo. But hey, they won a baseball game, so shout out them. That streak is broken. But Sam, let's stay on the baseball diamond for mine, because my winner is going to be facial hair. We got a ground-breaking update to one of the longest standing and, dare I say, stupidest rules in all of sports, specifically pertaining to a specific organization. And that is the prestigious, beyond baseball branding of the New York Yankees now allow their players to have, quote, well-groomed beards. So they are no longer going with their clean-shaven policy. And I can't say I expected this to happen. I never thought I'd see the day where this happened, Sam.
Yeah, wild. Like he said, dumbest thing ever. Don't really understand why it was a thing for so long. I get tradition, sure. Still weird as hell, but yeah. Why now is kind of what who are they going after? I mean, there's all these conspiracies I'm sure people are coming up with.
Yep. So, I mean, obviously, this is coming off the back of them really for the first time like ever losing a big free agent and losing to someone, obviously losing when they were so clearly in on him and he was in your building to start with and losing him to your crosstown rival. Obviously, there are a lot of correlations between this and the Yankees losing Juan Soto. Now, Juan Soto has literally never had a beard in his life on the baseball field. He's always been clean shaven. So I don't know. I feel like that's people just, that's not really how the reason why. I think it's more Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the probably the best first baseman in Major League Baseball. He's set to become a free agent after next year. He's got the dreads, he's got the big beard, so maybe they're looking to make a play on him. The tough thing about that, though, is this is a quote from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Not too long ago. I'm pulling it up real quick. They asked him, what it's like playing in New York. And he said, I love playing in New York. I love killing the Yankees. And they asked, would you ever play for the Yankees? And his quote was, I would never sign with the Yankees, not even when I'm dead.
Nice. Boy, Vladdy.
And when he asked about it, he said, it goes back with my family, and it's my decision, and I will never change that.
Nice.
So I'm willing to bet his agent responded and said, you don't have to go there, but just act like you're interested so we can get the price up. But anyway, this isn't about Vladdy. I personally think it has something to do with that and just the fact that they realize, hey, the Yankees name doesn't carry as much weight as it once did. They haven't won a World Series in 16 years. They haven't. They went to the World Series, obviously, this past year, got absolutely embarrassed. And before that, it had been since 2009 when they last won.
Yeah.
Since they'd been to the World Series, 2008, 2009. 2009. Oh, boy.
Damn.
Oh, boy. I think it's 2009. It's been since 2009. It is 2009. Correct. 2009 since they last won. So 15 years since they made it. Or this year, 16 years since they've won. They realized that people don't want to come play for the Yankees as they once did. So lifting this clean-shaven rule will only help their standing with free agents and off the back of losing the biggest one in a while and one that was in their building. So, but I got to say, Sam, as a number one seasoned Yankee hater, I hate this. I can't make fun of him for it anymore. I can't go to it as a reason why a player won't sign there anymore. It sucks. I wish they would have it because I like when the Yankees do stupid crap. And I like when I get to make fun of them for their stupid crap. So I'm not a fan of this, but, it probably is for the best. And it is such a stupid rule. And the Yankees are stupid. That's the moral of the story. But yeah, their players can now have well-groomed beards.
Yay.
And the problem, the big one, though, they traded for a closer, one of the best closers in baseball from the Brewers, Devin Williams, big beard guy's literally never been clean shaven. Got in the building. He walked into the building with a beard. So everyone's like, oh my God, he's waiting to the last second. Shaved it.
Brutal.
Now this news comes out.
Brutal.
Tough one for Devin Williams, although he has said he's excited to grow back out, but still, that's tough.
Yeah.
A couple days earlier, he would have kept it.
That's tough.
Facial hair. How about that?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
The year is 2025, and we're talking about a professional baseball organization allowing their players to have beards. This isn't basketball. This is baseball, the old American pastime, very synonymous with beards
Yeah.
and long and so
Yeah. Hell yeah.
2025 we're having this conversation. Shout out beards.
Shout out beards, man.
Tough. But of course, we will now take a look on the other side of things. Sam, who's your loser?
Yeah, we had to say goodbye to an absolute legend in the college basketball world.
Oh, I like to jump in. He's not dead.
He is not dead. This is true. But we did have to say goodbye to his collegiate career, Andre Curbelo. And what a ride it has been. Shout out New York Groove for this tweet. Historic run. I mean, he had supposedly a drug problem at Illinois. He allegedly threw equipment at team managers on the bus after a loss, got a concussion, having a confrontation while drunk at Illinois, called a Washington fan a clown on Twitter. I mean,
Okay.
I don't
Sure.
see that.
You
know,
a little bit there, but hey,
got a technical in the first minute of his first game at St. John's, suspended from St. John's, had his own press conference while suspended at St. John's, and only answered one question on why he was suspended, just to say, I don't know. Record for most times diving into the second row of the crowd, juggled tennis balls for a warm up, ate popcorn on the bench during the game, kicked off St. John's, lost his passport right before the team was set to travel, got in an altercation with a teammate in front of the rest of the team, damaged a trash can, cussed out El Salvador's coach, missed mandatory team breakfast, made derogatory comments about the team trainer, had 4 separate meetings with the team's general manager about behavior, unconfirmed rumors about escorts, got technical from the bench his first game at Southern Miss, and then went to sit in the stands with the crowd. Suspended indefinitely at Southern Miss, got ejected from his final game at Southern Miss while receiving a tech on the bench, kicked off the team at Southern Miss. Now, Tanner,
it's quite a
his ride has been insane. I mean, at Illinois, he was kind of one of their better players in the early 2020s. But I actually have a personal story with Andre Curbelo. They played Iowa State in 2022 while he is at St. John's, fouled out because as we all know, he likes to do that. And there's a little bench area like where the stats guy sits, the manager sits, where they fold towels and stuff like that. And we had security in the corner, and he went to sit on it. You're not supposed to, but the dude just fouled out, and he was pissed. And the minute he sat down, the security was like, "You can't do that. You can't do that," and just kept egging him on. And finally, he was like, "Shut up, you stupid bitch!" Right to the security.
Hey.
And she looks at me, goes, and I'm like, "I ain't. Nope. This is above my pay grade." But I mean, Andre Curbelo, what a
stand-up guy.
What a crazy career.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy was an absolute clown. Every time he talked about him, after maybe 2021 or 2021 was probably his last year where he was a contributor to a good basketball team.
Yeah,
that's Illinois. He obviously still had off the court issues, but since then, every time he talked about this guy, it was either I can't believe he's still in college, or it was something off the floor that was not not in a good way talked about. So this guy was an absolute clown. It's a shame that we won't get to clown on him anymore for any of his various antics. Obviously, as Iowa fans, he was never a friend of ours with Illinois, and then it turns out he's just a terrible dude. So that didn't shock any of us. And RIP a legend, RIP an absolute off the field clown show, off the court clown show legend. You'll be missed. There'll be a void in college basketball and who to make fun of. So if it's not Andre Curbelo now, who's the wow, I can't believe he's still in college guy for this season. I'm trying to think because
I mean, former Hawkeye Tony Perkins is still around.
yeah, he is over at
He's
Missouri.
still around. Trying to think of like, I mean, Janai Broom. He's
Yeah,
like 23,
yeah,
24,
at least, but
but
I feel
he's
like
good.
they got to fit like maybe like Tyrese Hunter
Tyrese
from
Hunter.
Memphis.
Yeah, that's a good one. RJ Davis, maybe could be
Yeah,
thrown in that
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, that's true. Like the Jordan Bohannons of the world, the
Yeah,
Ariellas of the world, going back further, going back another sport, the Tommy Armstrong Juniors
yeah.
and Adrian Martinez
There you go.
from Nebraska. I feel like they had two quarterbacks over 15 years in Nebraska, but anyway, tough loss for the community and Andre Curbelo, man. What an absolute clown. But for my loser, Sam, we mentioned spring training was going on. Of course, when you start preseason workouts, unfortunately, there are going to be some injuries that start to pop up. And evidently, I started my winter with the Yankees, and I mentioned Juan Soto and that home run, and kind of the three main injuries right now going through camp that weren't already brought into camp of people rehabbing from previous injuries are also all within New York. So we'll start in Queens, or I guess now in Port St. Lucie with the Mets. They made the huge splash with Soto. This team's supposed to be pretty good. The one thing question mark going into the season is the pitching staff, Sam, and two of their bigger free agent signings on the pitching side of things were they brought back Sean Manaea, and they went out and got Frankie Montas from the Brewers. Well, both of them are going to be starting the season on the IL. Sean Manaea with an oblique injury. That one looks shorter term. He might only miss a few weeks into the season, but still, that was probably going to be the Mets number one or number two, depending on how you looked at it going into the season. And then Frankie Montas is the longer term one. He had a lat strain. He's going to be shut down for multiple weeks, and looks like he might not get back until like maybe May or June.
Okay.
So that's tough for an already not amazing pitching staff. And then over with the Yankees, stop me if you've heard this before. Giancarlo Stanton is injured again.
What?
This time, get ready for this, Sam. He's got tendonitis in both elbows.
Oh,
Not quite sure how he did that.
yeah.
But it's being described as closest to tennis elbow. And
Nice.
people in their old age go to
Love
Florida,
playing
play tennis.
man.
But I mean, the pain level has been described as, quote, very high. So
There you go.
shout out to Giancarlo for fighting through the pain. He has not swung a bat in multiple weeks, and he's definitely going to start the season on the IL. He's taking a trip right now. He's away from the team. That trip was described by manager Aaron Boone as he said it was personal in nature.
Nice.
Don't know.
Darkness retreat.
Darkness retreat could be the Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat. He's getting over his breakup with Juan Soto.
Yeah.
But it's looking like there's a possibility it could be way worse than originally thought, and he could be out an extended period of time. There's currently no timetable for his return. And look, they made some offseason moves. The New York Yankees pitching staff is absolutely disgusting. They will be one of the best in baseball. If Giancarlo Stanton's out for an extended period of time, which it's looking like he might, around Aaron Judge, that lineup looks a little fishy. They're the anti-Mets. Pitching staff should be great. Lineup might look a little less than great, but we'll see. Who knows what that injury is about? And of course, there are some question marks in the Yankee lineup. So, a couple of injuries going on in the Big Apple to start the season that are not great.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. Should we talk some college basketball?
Let's do it.
All right. So, another week in the books, Sam. I think we got to start at least. I think we got to start with probably the team who got the two biggest wins since we last jumped on here, and that's Houston, right? Houston on Saturday they get the win over Iowa State. Obviously, Iowa State missing their two leading scorers in Curtis Jones, Keyshawn Gilbert. So take that with a grain of salt. They did come up with that win at home, and then they go to Texas Tech and get that win as well on Monday night. So Houston's catching fire at the right time.
Yeah, it seems that they have kind of secured the number one spot for that Big 12 tournament. Now, some people, it's up for debate whether the conference tournament is one you kind of want to go far in, or is it better to maybe lose third round? It's obviously you don't want to get bounced first round, but it's not necessity for them to win the tournament. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, they got two big wins. Obviously, I think it would we'd be remiss if we didn't mention those injuries to Iowa State's two lean scores. Definitely took away from that game, but a impressive win nonetheless. And then following it up with a big win over Texas Tech, number 10 in the country, two top 10 wins. You can't hate that coming down the stretch going into March Madness and these conference tournaments, man.
No doubt about it. That's an interesting conversation and one that we certainly can get into about conference champions because, I feel like there's a lot of people who it's the what have you done for me lately when picking your bracket where a team goes on a nice run.
Yeah.
They're the hot team, i.e. 2022 Iowa Hawkeyes, and they just lay an egg. Obviously, Iowa that one year when they were one of the hottest teams in college basketball. But then you also have your NC States who goes on the run, and you know what? Let's keep on running this thing. You had a Virginia Tech a while ago who won the ACC improbably, and they were like, "All right, this team's hot," and they just lost their first game as well. So who knows where it goes? I think, again, this is not a new take, but like a conference like the SEC, I think unless you're, maybe Auburn and Alabama, just because I think those teams are so good that no matter what, I think I'm going to pick them to go pretty deep. But like any other team that wins that, I mean, that's a grueling run.
Yeah.
Maybe they come out a little flat in the tournament. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the SEC is so interesting because it seems that Auburn is one of the best teams in college basketball, but you have teams like Florida, who's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated teams in the. We mentioned Bama, Auburn, Tennessee. Where's Florida in this mix? I think they are just as good as those other three teams. But I think I personally am one that doesn't put a lot of emphasis on the conference tournament because, like you said, you can get super hot and fade by, or you can do what NC State did and just ride it. I think it's, especially this year with the SEC in particular, I think it is a little more impressive of coming out as regular season champions because of the gruelingness. I mean, Arkansas is currently saying 5-9 in the tournament, and they will probably get in, which is absolutely absurd. This conference is ridiculous, but I think it's just interesting. But personally, I think a conference tournament isn't as important down the stretch unless you're kind of one of those bubble teams that need to get a couple quality wins to get in.
Sure. Okay. So when you're filling out your bracket, you're straight up like don't pay, like you don't fade it, you don't tail it, it's kind of like, obviously there are times it's not a foolproof plan, but in general you don't put much stock in it.
Not much, but like last year I was like NC State's one of the hottest teams and I kind of bought it in. And so give and take with a lot of that, but for the most part, I'm not diving too much into it. But never say never, right?
I hear you. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if we kind of move on about the week, I think another team worth talking about, a team I briefly mentioned, kind of had a tough week, Sam. Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? They did get a win on Saturday over Kentucky, which broke their losing streak. It was like 2 or 3 in a row, I believe, at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are one of those teams that um, is very hard to gauge because they are all offense and no defense. And if you look back on Wednesday's matchup, they lost. Name another college basketball team that loses, that scores 98 points, Tanner. The final score against Missouri was 110-98. You rarely see 98 in college basketball games. And the fact they lost, scoring 98 points and then following it up, did beat Kentucky, but Kentucky has had an up and down year. But that Alabama game, their game versus Missouri, yes, Missouri is ranked 14th, but when you score 98 points in college basketball, you're expected to win. And that's a huge red flag for me coming in to not only the SEC tournament, but the Big Dance as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So I'm looking at their their schedule. You have to go back to January 14th to the last time they didn't score over 80 points.
Jeez.
And that was against Ole Miss when they scored 64.
But it could be a storyline of they just get hot and no one can score with them.
They went to the Final Four last year on that premise. They were the kind of the same team. Obviously, I think they're a little better this year, a little bit more experience. Yeah. But in general, they were that same. Let's just score, and out and just bludgeon you to death with their ability to score the basketball. No doubt about it. But they got back on the right track. I believe it was at Kentucky as well. Or no, it was at home. Excuse me. It was at home, but they were able to take down the Wildcats fairly convincingly as well, with a 13-point a win right there. I mean, looking at the rest of the SEC, Auburn continues to do what Auburn does. They squeaked out a win against Arkansas. That was a close game after their Alabama win, but then went on to beat Georgia as well. Just kind of handled business. But Sam, looking at the Big Ten, obviously not a great conference as we've talked about top to bottom, but I think that pretty clearly the two best teams, Wisconsin and Purdue.
I think Michigan State has something to say about that.
Michigan State are the other ones, but Wisconsin and Purdue, I guess that's fair. The reason I mentioned those two is because they both lost. Wisconsin Purdue might have been on Sunday, but Purdue losing to Indiana, a team that is just dead. And then Wisconsin losing to Oregon, a team that I think can play, but are definitely up and down. They were able to come out victorious against Iowa. That was a pretty close game, but somewhat recently. But yeah, dude, a couple of tough losses for the Big Ten. You got Michigan State and Michigan. They played recently, and I believe Michigan won that.
Michigan State won that.
Oh, Michigan State
75-62 on Friday, behind a guy that kind of started out the season slow, but Jace Richardson, a name to keep a lookout for, dropped 21 in that game, just absolutely hooping for the Spartans. But this, as kind of crazy as the SEC has been, I think this stretch of Big Ten basketball is a little crazier because there is no Auburn, no Bama, it's just like we're not that good, but we're still towards the top. And I think that what makes this interesting. I mean, Oregon, like you said, not a great team, pulled out a win against Wisconsin. Then you have Illinois, who was competing up there, get absolutely throttled on Saturday against Duke, 110-67, making Illinois 43-point loss, the worst in team history. So this Big Ten is just crazy. The Boilermakers looking kind of pulling away there for a little bit, and then they collapse. It's just, I have no idea who is gonna win this regular season and conference tournament. I think it's gonna be a crazy one that a lot of people might be looking over because of what the teams have done. Like, it's not like the SEC or stuff like that. So the Big Ten down the stretch is going to be one of the more interesting stories, and the tournament is going to be crazy. And not to what team we haven't even mentioned, Maryland
Yes.
has one of the better players in the conference, Derek Queen, just an absolute animal in the paint. Consistently double machine, had 13 and 17 against USC. Obviously, USC is not anything to boast about, but still impressive nonetheless because he's been doing that all year. But yeah, this Big Ten down the stretch is going to be extremely fun to watch. And I hope a lot of college basketball fans don't overlook it.
No doubt, a conference we haven't talked about a lot, but as you said, some teams coming on. I get that we really haven't talked about, that being the entire state of Michigan and Maryland for sure. Wisconsin, obviously, I mentioned that loss to Oregon, not a great look. I still think that's one of the best teams in the Big Ten for sure. And they'll get their head right after that one, as you said. So a couple of teams fighting for for supremacy over there. But look, the bottom line is what? Probably Michigan State's the best team, and they'll probably get like a 3 or 4 seed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the power scaling we're dealing with here in the Big Ten. Elsewhere, I mean ACC.
Yeah, all Duke.
Duke.
All Duke.
Next question.
All Duke.
Duke is really freaking good, and they have a really damn good chance of winning it all. And with a couple of other teams, but anything else you wanted to mention here? I guess we're looking at the Big East. Another big win for St. John's over UConn recently. St. John's continues to play really damn good basketball and is clearly the class of the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, everyone was like, "Oh, UConn." After Maui, that storyline died down tremendously. And St. John's has just been on a tear. Did slip up a little bit against Villanova a couple of weeks ago, but bounced back. Kind of cruised against Creighton, cruised against DePaul, and beat UConn. They don't have the toughest stretch down the stretch. They have Butler, Seton Hall, and Marquette to end the year. That Marquette game is going to be very fun to watch. But St. John's under Rick Pitino, we talked about it last episode, one of the greatest stories of college basketball this year. And they are a problem to be messed with. They're going to be very fun to watch down the stretch. It's not like ACC Duke, where you're like, oh, they really haven't played anybody. Their conference is kind of ass. They're still competing with dudes. I mean, UConn obviously not having the year we've seen in the past 2, but you still got them. You still got Marquette. Those teams in there. Creighton, which is crazy that they're in the Big East, but we'll save that for another day. I mean,
where else would you put Omaha, Nebraska?
True, you're so right. And Marquette,
as it's being in West
Wisconsin. Yeah. But this obviously a little top heavy conference, but impressive nonetheless by the Red Storm.
And then obviously St. John's, the one issue. Shooting.
Yeah.
Shooting from deep. I'm sure we've all seen the stats. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going. Since 2012, only 2 teams have made the Final Four while shooting under 35% from 3. 2012 and 2013 Louisville, both coached by
Rick Pitino.
So if there is one guy
exactly
who can drag a team that does not shoot well from 3, however, I will say both of those Louisville teams, or 2012 was about 32%, 31.8. And then in 2013, they were 33.1. This St. John's team is 29.3%.
That's tough.
From deep. They really struggle shooting the ball from deep.
Especially this day and age.
Yeah. Will it be their Achilles heel this March? It might.
Yeah.
Like a team like Alabama, who just scores and scores and scores the basketball. Really tough at a potential, late round matchup there. But I mean, you got anything else on the college basketball front?
Man, it's just been so fun to watch. Like I said, this SEC battle down the stretch is going to be fun. We got some good. I mean, the thing about the SEC, Tanner, is you have a ranked matchup damn near every night when the SEC is playing, and it's being overlooked because of how common it is.
Real quick, is there one tonight? I don't know if you're looking. Yes or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, there it is.
Mississippi State, Bama, that could be a sneaky
Alabama,
one.
Mississippi State.
Some games to look forward to if you're just now getting in college basketball, kind of looking for teams. There's going to be some freaking awesome games this weekend. Auburn, Kentucky, at Kentucky. That could be a sneak up game for Auburn. We got Bama, Tennessee. We have Arizona, Iowa State, Texas A&M, Florida. That Iowa State game's going to be extremely interesting. We all talked about the game winner that Caleb Love hit down in Arizona. So having that, and then on Sunday we have a big matchup in the Big Ten. Wisconsin taking on Michigan State, the top dogs of the Big Ten going at. Going to be a fun matchup, but super fun weekend.
Tough week for Michigan State because on Wednesday, Sam, tomorrow, we were recording this on Tuesday. On Wednesday, they got to take on Maryland.
Oh.
So
yeah, that's
and that's in College Park on the road in Maryland. So obviously, by the time this is out, you guys will know how they did. But that is a big one for sure in the Big Ten. So a tough week for Michigan State, can really solidify themselves as
that's tough.
The best team in that conference. And you kind of covered the major ranked matchups for the rest of the week there. I mean, Alabama, Tennessee, and Knoxville. What else could you want? Of course,
that could be interesting.
That one on Saturday. We've been absolutely spoiled the past couple Saturdays. Bama and Auburn in that 1-2 matchup a couple weeks ago. And then this past week, obviously, Iowa State and Houston, and I believe it was A&M and Tennessee in that game. I mean, it's so awesome. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, that's kind of what we got on college basketball. Coming up, we will have, of course, coverage of the conference tournaments as they are going on right before the big dance. So, the best time in college basketball for sure. But should we get into a little bit of a news segment?
Let's get it.
Yeah. So this one, I will say, this is the brainchild of my dear friend and co-host Samuel Gotzi. So I will let him explain it. It's not that hard, I guess, but I will let him.
It is pretty advanced, but yeah. Just a news segment. We just figured to spice it up a little bit. So this is called This or That, rapid fire questions. I need your answer, Tanner. We'll put this as a poll on our Instagram, so check that out. It'll probably be on X as well. Tanner, first one, take it.
Yeah, first question. March Madness tickets or college football playoff tickets? It's not even close. It's not close. It's March Madness tickets.
Yep.
I mean, the amount of games you get to see, the obviously the madness you get to see, it's really
it's 100%.
I've been to exactly one bowl game in my life. It was fun, but I've been to one that one, I guess, pod of March Madness games, and the bowl game was fun. Iowa won. It's not a competition. I mean, it's just the March Madness is on a different level.
And I think March Madness is like the one major sporting event that hasn't been oh my gosh, what's the word?
It's not like commercialized.
It hasn't been, they haven't
overly
raised the prices enough where you walk out the real fans. The
real fans haven't been priced out.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm going March Madness tickets too.
Yeah.
It's not even questioned.
Next one. On the basketball court, would you rather have an ankle breaker or a poster?
Poster.
Yeah, poster. So cool.
Like,
ankle breakers are cool.
Ankle breakers are sick. Don't get me wrong. Like, the cardiac Kimba ankle breaker is one of the sweetest, but like, just someone just yamming on a kid.
Like looking at like the cardiac.
Also, I've never been able to dunk, so that'd be kind of cool.
That too. But the cardiac Kemba, we remember that game winner, conference tournament. Can you name like another one? Like, there's that one where James Harden dropped like,
I mean, AI Tyronn Lue,
yeah, I guess he stepped over him. So
but
that's a
that's
little.
like obviously a little different. But I mean, not really.
And like I remember James Harden, Wesley Matthews maybe is who it was because
Yeah,
he like pointed at him. That's what
yeah,
I remember. But that's like three
yeah,
posters. Oh God, I mean
yeah,
Paul George on Birdman. We've got
yeah.
take your choice on Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan.
I mean you had one you had one from Washington against Iowa this past week.
Yeah.
That was they called a charge. Let's leave it at that. But it's a poster.
Yeah,
It's not close on that one
yeah.
either.
I agree.
This one, however, this one could be close. Prime KD or prime Kobe.
This one is extremely interesting, but dude, I got I give it to Katie. As much as
KD?
I hate Katie, I mean he's a 7 foot guard who is just unreal.
Look, KD, he can score in more ways. I think he's the better player. If you just look at exactly how good they are at the sport. I'm not talking about greatness. I'm not talking about relative to the rest of the league. KD is the better player. Give me Kobe, man. This guy was on. I like you just look at it like obviously. Again, I think KD's better. Kobe, not too bad himself, but you got one guy who's like, yeah, I'll go join the 73 win team.
True.
You got one guy who's
absolutely
like, screw my torn Achilles. I'm gonna shoot 2 free throws.
Yeah.
And that's the difference here.
True.
And
I agree.
That's what I'm going with.
I could get behind that for sure.
Give me prime Kobe. Just because that dude, the Mamba mentality, we all know it, especially in today's NBA when I mean everybody's these soft tissue injuries and not playing back to backs and sitting out because they're unhappy with the organization. Screw that. Kobe didn't do any of that. He said, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna play basketball. So I'm gonna take Kobe. Well recognizing that KD is the better player.
Yeah.
But I'm going with Kobe. I'm going with Kobe.
Absolutely.
Our next one. Would you rather be on a Cinderella team or be on a number 1 seed?
This one's interesting because I'm going to go be on a Cinderella team because no one expects you to do anything and everyone falls in love with you the minute you upset somebody. And a lot of people hate you if you're number 1 seed, but just like dominating the entire regular season would be kind of sick. But I'm going to go be on a Cinderella team because
I don't think there would be anything more fun than being on a Cinderella. Like a week to 2 weeks of you just with your team and the boys,
and everyone remembers.
Everyone remembers you. You're with your boys. You're not losing. You're playing for your life. Each and every game could be your last.
Yeah.
Every play is do or die. Like that has to be the most fun.
Oh yeah,
ever.
I mean, I know I can name more Cinderella teams,
and there's no pressure on you.
Yeah,
and
just out there hooping.
You're just on there hooping. But what's one thing a Cinderella team has never done? Won a championship. Butler came oh so close.
Yeah,
about an inch away on the backboard. But the 1 seed has the chance to win the championship.
Tell that to Virginia. That's all I gotta say.
I agree. They don't tell it to Virginia. Tell it to Purdue.
Tell it to Duke. Yeah, dude. I mean, I just know I can name way more Cinderella teams than
right. But if that's the thing. Your Cinderella team is pretty much guaranteed you're not going to win. If you're a 1 seed, it's not guaranteed you're going to win.
True.
Your chances are much better at winning a championship. So it's tough. I mean, my first thought was I looked at it, I was like, oh my God, Cinderella team. That'd be Then I thought about it for a second. And obviously not a lot of there are obviously select few, the Gordon Haywards of the world, but there are not a lot of Cinderella team players that go on to have much of a career after it. Your Jack Golkeys, your
Doug Eddard.
That's the guy I was thinking of. Doug Eddard.
I think he's still hooping in college, actually.
Bryant or something.
Yeah. Brian, I think.
Bryant.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but I'm going to need a final answer.
Cinderella team. We need a full right now. Do you see that number in the corner, Tanner?
Yeah, I do. I saw it earlier.
That's the most disgusting basketball
That's
number.
real quick tangent. That is my most like my biggest like old man take is has to do with basketball numbers.
Like what? 99?
My biggest old man take. Old man yells at cloud take. Ready? Here it is. Go back to the old basketball numbers should not be above 55.
I
That's
can
my
get on
take.
board with
And
that.
I'm okay because you used to not be allowed. You can only do 0 through 5,
Yeah.
11 through 15, 21 through 25, 31 through 35, 41 through 45, 51 through 55. So the refs can do the number of the foul. I'm okay with single digits. I'm okay with 5 through 10.
Yeah.
I don't love 17, 18. I don't love 27, 28.
Yeah.
That's my old man take. Give me numbers you should be able to have 1 through 15, 21 through 25, 31 through 35, 41
I
through
can get on board with that.
55. That's what you should be able to have on a basketball. 99. I remember
gross.
I remember one year with Carmelo Anthony when the Knicks were really good. They went out and they got a pretty big a veteran pickup, but a guy who had been around the block. And Baron Davis played 1 year with the Knicks.
Yeah.
And they were pretty good. Do you happen to know what number he wore?
Was he 85?
85. It was the most disgusting thing. And like, even like Luka Doncic 77.
Yeah, that's kind of gross.
It looks so bad,
that's
man.
Too gross.
It looks so
Especially
bad.
in that yellow.
Like, what are these numbers? Like,
yeah.
I just, So that's my take. We need to go back to that old number system, but who knows? But yeah, I'm gonna back to the this or that. I'm gonna agree.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything more fun than like St. Peter's had that week.
Oh yeah,
NC State had for like a month.
Yeah, right.
Like that's just so fun. They went to the freaking Final Four, man.
I mean, the ultimate Cinderella for Gulf Coast, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Lob
sick.
City, Florida Gulf
Lob
Coast.
City, dude. Come on.
Play up against Georgetown when he's throwing the alley-oop. He's played forever, man. Like, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I know you're going to know his name, but the guy who made the three and his dad fell off the
RJ Hunter.
RJ Hunter at Georgia State.
Yes, sir.
I've seen that shot. I've watched that shot all the time. Like the Loyola Chicago. I can't believe I haven't mentioned them yet. Shot against Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many moments that you just keep going back further in time.
The UNI. I got you, boy.
The UNI shot. Are you talking what team are they playing in the one you were talking about? Was the half court shot?
It's a half court shot.
Okay, that was Texas. So the UNI versus Texas, but then going back to like 2007 or 6 or 7, he had the UNI guy hit a three in the corner to beat Kansas, who was like the 2 seed.
Yeah.
UNI upset him there. So, so many good moments as a Cinderella. All the pressure's off. It has to be the most fun ever playing a sport is when you're a Cinderella team. So that's why I'm going with
Absolutely.
it. And I believe you are as well. Our last one. Now, this is really interesting. Harder championship to win, NBA Finals or Super Bowl?
Yeah, this one's super interesting, Tanner, because you got the NBA best of 7, just the longevity of it, but you have the Super Bowl where one guy can't really carry you. It's more of you got 11 guys instead of 5 guys. I'm gonna go Super Bowl here. Think. Yep, final answer, Super Bowl.
Lock it in. Now, this is tough because I think one thing's for certain. The better team is more likely to win in the NBA Finals.
Agreed.
Over the 7-game,
Yeah.
I get that. So now, does that make it harder or easier to win?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could be like, oh, well, it's harder to be the better team. Sure. But if you're the better team in football, you got to win one game.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the Lions against the Commanders? Jane Daniels really good. He caught fire. Boom, you're done.
Yeah.
But also, it's easier. It's easier in the sense that you can be just an average team. If you catch fire, you win.
Mm-hmm.
In basketball, you got to catch fire 4 times.
Yeah.
To beat the team. So which one is harder? Is it harder because the team that's better wins most of the time, or is it harder because you can lose at any given time in one game? I honestly don't know. I think all in all, it's probably harder to win. Let's put it this way: in the NBA, you need to win 16 games to win a title in the playoffs. And that's how many you need to win, not how many you need to play, right? And you're not going to sweep everybody. So let's say on average, you probably play what? On average of six?
Yeah, on average.
6 games per round. So that's 24 total games. And you play 82. That is 30% of your regular season. And in football, what? You play. You could get a bye. So most likely the team that wins the Super Bowl gets a bye. So they play divisional. They play 3.
Yeah.
Right? Divisional, conference championship, Super Bowl. 3 divided by 17. That's 17%. That's half percentage. So all in all, I think I'm going to say it's harder to win 16 games. So I'll go with the NBA Finals.
That's gross. One thing I'd like you to take in: how many teams get in the playoffs?
That is in NBA, you have like a 70% chance to make the freaking playoffs. And yes, the play-in is the playoffs. Shut up about it.
Yeah,
it's the postseason. Yeah, that's very true as well. Like, it's tough. Like, is it harder to be the best team in your league, or is it harder because any team at any time could show up and beat you in one game? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm still gonna go to the NBA Finals. Let's get a little variance. Let's get a little variance on the pod. And then again, you have to win 16 games, which obviously the best team in NBA history won what, 73?
Yeah.
So that's what is 16 divided by 73. And this is if you're the best team in NBA history, that's 22% of your wins you have to get in the postseason. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I think that's hard to do. So I'm gonna do the NBA Finals. But I see where you came from for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That's going to wrap it up for the episode, man. I'm telling you, we're in that lull. So, obviously a shorter episode, but I think we still got a good bunch of stuff and talked about a little bit about spring training, what's going on, injuries. Yankees now allow their players to have beards. Can you believe it? I cannot. Of course, we talked about college basketball. We're getting into that time where conference champions start up. And March is right around the corner. And then, of course, we debuted our little new segment here, this or that. See which one we want, another 2 options. But make sure to follow the pod on our socials at crunchtime_pod on X, TikTok, and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube. It's where you'll find the video form of all our episodes. Definitely much more fun to watch it that way, but that is Crunch Time with the N326 duo. But the clock has run out on this episode, and we'll see you in the next one on Crunch Time.
Here.